All right, welcome to our Google Earth tour. We're going to visit at least 4 locations around Earth today. We're going to focus on those 4 and then talk about how they compare to some other regions. We're going to focus on what the climate is in those 4 locations and then try and discuss why those locations have the climate that they do. So first things we're going to do is actually talk about home, because that just makes sense, right? What do we want to know about Shelby, Ohio? I mean, I know it's not home for all of us, but we're pioneers, right? So here's our penguin, all right? And this is information on Shelby's climate. So first of all, it's a part of a temperate forest biome, right? We're at 40 degrees latitude, just over 40 degrees. Means we're about midway between 0 at the equator and 90 at the North Pole. So that's going to be a major influence. Annual rainfall for us is 1,123 millimeters, about 44 inches. That's a nice amount of rainfall, which is one of the reasons we're in a forest biome, is because we have enough water to support those trees. Average temperature, just under 10 degrees Celsius or just under 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So that might sound not too great for you guys, but remember that we are in a temperate region. So one of our biggest influences on climate for this region is going to be our location in the latitude. So we're a temperate region between 30 and 60, and it means we're going to have moderate temperatures. Now, do we see hot times and do we see cold times? Yes. So that 50 degrees is going to be an average of our overall. So like January, our average low is 18 degrees, right? But in July and August, our average high is 80 degrees. So we can see some pretty warm and pretty cool temperatures, and that's just average, right? You know, we can get 90-degree days in later August, and we definitely have some cooler days in January than that. So those are your big things. Now, what's going to influence the climate besides latitude? We're also going to take a look at these guys right here, those Great Lakes. Okay, those location, those are going to be important for us because all that water is going to help absorb some of the heat from the sun. It's going to help to keep our region a little bit cooler than some other areas during the winter, and then a little bit warmer during the summertime, a little cooler during the summertime, a little warmer during the winter because it's absorbed all that heat. So that's going to help us. It's also going to provide us with plenty of water to provide precipitation. So that's one of the reasons we have those 44 inches. Another thing are these guys right here. Can you see where that wrinkle in the land is? That wrinkle is a mountain range. That is, anybody know? That is the Appalachian Mountains. So there's the Appalachian Mountains. They run all the way from Alabama and Georgia up through Maine. Okay. And those mountains are, we're on that windward side, okay? The wind's going to come from the west and hit the mountains. Now, they're really, really old mountains, so they've been eroded a lot, and they're not as high as they used to be. They're older than the Himalayas. But that wind is still going to experience some change in elevation and change in causing changes in precipitation patterns. So it actually helps to make this area a little bit more wet. You can see the green here. We don't have as much green because why? Well, look, there we go. We make the country's food. So there's some a lot of fields there too. So we've cleared out some land. So we don't see as much green, but it's because we're busy doing some other things. So what are some other locations that are similar to Shelby? Well, about 40 degrees north of the equator. Close to mountains, but not close, so some body near it. I think one of our best looks would be in Limoges, France. Let me go, whoop. Here's France, and we'll go down to Limoges, the city there. As you can see, it's close to some water, which will help with temperature, has mountains in the distance. All right, so those are part of it. And so we have plenty of water and average temperatures for that. Okay, so Limoges, France would be a good comparison for Shelby, Ohio as far as climate goes. Now, our next location is going to be Penzance. This one we've seen before too. We've already talked about it, but Penzance is a temperate climate with no snowfall, even in the even in the winter. So Penzance, temperate climate, not quite tropical, but it can almost support tropical. Now, it's 50 degrees north of the equator, so farther north than we are. I know I keep saying that, but this is what's the really, really cool part about this. Average rainfall is 42 inches of rain, so not that far different from us. Again, they are on the coast, so they're going to see some rain coming in. Now, their average temperature is also about 10 degrees, but it's a little bit different from ours. Their average temperature is a result of not changing temperature very much. They're not going to get very cold in the winter. Hopefully this comes up. There we go. Oh. Okay, there's climate data. But they're also not going to get very warm. Okay, so as you can see, their temperature, their lows in January and December are going to be about 40 degrees, but their highs are really only about 60, maybe 65. So their temperature range is very similar to ours, our average temperature, but it's actually the range is different. They really are about average of 50 degrees year round. So that's going to be one of those influences. Now, biggest influence for Penzance we've talked about before are those ocean currents, that Gulf Stream that comes in. There's not really any mountains right here. You'll see some hills and stuff, but not anything large, just the cliffs. I mean, the island itself. So that's the biggest influence besides latitude, because again, it's going to be moderate, but is that Gulf Stream, which keeps it from being too chilly. Now, another location on Earth that would be similar to this would be South Africa. We're a little farther from the equator, but they're still considered pretty moderate temperature. Why? Well, because they have those ocean currents nearby that help to keep it warm, and also to help provide them with a little bit of rain. We talked about earlier in the unit about how this area is lower, so it's going to be where the wind comes down and dries it up, but what keeps that moist is that ocean right there. Okay. Our next location is we're gonna head over to South America, and we're gonna go to Valdivia in Chile. Okay. Take a look at this. I love this. This is perfect. Valdivia is actually a temperate rainforest. Now, that's not on your biomes map, but it is considered a temperate rainforest. They have over 98 inches of rain average falling a year. Now, their latitude is about the same as ours, but their average temperature is a little bit warmer. Now, latitude is going to give us that moderate location, but these guys are going to see, again, more moderate temperatures. Not much of a change over time, okay? And that's because they are trapped between the ocean and the mountains. So I'm going to go ahead and mark off there. So Valdivia, if you can see it, there is a perfect example of that windward and leeward side of a mountain. So down here, the wind comes off of the ocean in the west. It's going to hit the Andes Mountains there. Let me go ahead and show you the Andes. Okay. As you can see, the Andes Mountains making up the backbone of South America. But those mountains are going to cause that wind to go up higher, change its elevation, become colder. The colder air can't hold as much moisture, and it's going to drop it all on this region. So this region right here is going to be considered a temperate rainforest. On the other side, you have that desert. So the biggest influences for Valdivia is the being trapped between the ocean and the mountains, and so that would give us a rainforest. Now it's a temperate rainforest, a moderate rainforest, because of where it is. You can see how the wind switches. It's coming out of the east down here. So our windward side is on the east portion of the mountains, and our leeward side is on the west portion of the mountains. You can actually see that happening. So another city that would be like Valdivia would be along here in Brazil and Uruguay. No. What's there? Bolivia, sorry. And then another great example, we have a couple, but the one you're familiar with would be Seattle, Washington, up here. Or let's go to Australia. Sydney, Australia also has the same thing. We have a temperate region because we're close to the water and we have mountains trapping that rain and making it fall there, so keeping things a little warmer and a little bit more moist. Okay, our last location for today is going to be Tripoli. There you go, in Libya. Now, look where Tripoli is. That is the Sahara Desert. Look at all those beautiful mountains, beautiful desert. That I think would be fun to visit, but I don't think I'd want to stay. But if we look at Tripoli, what kind of climate does it have? So it's labeled a semi-arid region. So it's not actually desert because they get 9 inches of rainfall. What would we consider this? It's not, it's, you know, it's close to a desert. Is it a desert? But it's also pretty mild. So this would be one of those examples of a chaparral. Okay, only 9 inches of rain a year. Okay, average temperature of about 70 degrees, so it is warmer. And like some of you said, part of it is because it's in the desert, right? But it's not that far. Let me go back up. 32 degrees, so it's right there on the edge of that tropical biome, tropical region. And this desert is going to absorb all that water that when the wind comes down from those convection currents, right? But the Tripoli gets a little bit more than its neighbors. Why? Well, it's going to be part of that chaparral portion right here. And because it's right next to the ocean, it's going to make it, can you see, a little bit greener, a little bit more rain. Obviously not as great as these portions over here. And with a little bit farther northern latitude where they have more rain coming in on the coasts of Italy and Spain and France, but they're going to a little bit more. Now, a good location that'd be similar to Tripoli would be over here in Mexico, where we have some desert happening, but not quite as dry because you have the ocean right there to bring a little bit of moisture in off of that water. So that would be a good location for Tripoli to compare to Tripoli. So hopefully you've learned a couple of things, you've thought about a couple of things today. Go ahead and make sure you're answering all those questions. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask, and I will see you all soon. Thank you.